Shalom, Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations that look like those heathen nations. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. This is not a black thing. This is an Israelite thing, and the Israelites are scattered among all people. And the time frame that this took place was part of that time period of the scattering of the Israelites. All right, and I'd like to wish all you Akim and all you Akwaf out there that are observing the Day of Atonement. It's just started just now in these last couple of moments, last couple of minutes. It's the opening of this lesson, and one of the things that I intend to do, Lord's will, is put up a lesson on every one of my channels. All right, hopefully I can actually put one up on critical race historical facts. I have been not able to use that page for months now. All right, but this is a lesson that I've been wanting to do for some time, going into the Apocrypha and into history, and to proving that, when the apostles and elders, taught us and told us and mentioned that every Hollywood producer reads and studies the Bible. Well, if you have watched the movie The 300, clearly the artist who put this book together, the original 300, I think, can't remember his name. I actually have the graphic novel, and they show the Spartans as men of color, different shades of brown, swarthy. As a matter of fact, and we're going to read scriptures to prove that. All right, Esau Edom is a liar. All right, and you often hear me tell you, you were not the Spartans, you were not the Greeks, you were not the Romans, you were not Europeans. All those people were melanated people before the Edomites took over, before Alexander of Macedon came in and basically took over all those lands, and the Edomites basically took all those heritages, and whitewashed that history during the time of the Renaissance. So when that history is presented, it's always presented, like this, all right, which is a complete and total lie. We just find it, kind of entertaining and aggravating at the same time, that they can get the costume right and all that, the weapons and everything from the time period, but they can't get the aesthetics of the people right. Well, that's because they don't want to. And by the way, I actually happen to have a statue of a Spartan with the braided, you can see the back of him. And I find it funny how they just, the destruction of the nose and the lips to hide those features. But what you can't get around is those cornrows coming from under his helmet, which makes me believe when you look at the graphic novel, there's a couple of the Spartans have those cornrows, that braided hair like that. Okay? And they look strikingly similar to, these images here. All right, except they put pale men in the place of melanated men with cornrows and skin like the sardine stone or jasper, which we're gonna, get those scriptures. So what you're looking at is a war elephant. And so let's go to our first scripture, the ultimate proof, all right, which is going to be found in the book of Maccabees, 2nd Maccabees, the 4th chapter, the 11th chapter. And I'm going to read verses 1 through 4 first. And it reads, darn it, uh, yeah. Not long after Lysaeus, the king's protector and cousin, these were Edomites, who also managed the affairs, took displeasure for the kings that were done. And this was King Antiochus, if I remember correctly. It says, and when he had gathered about 80,000, all right, so remember, a score is 20,000, so this is 80,000, all right, 80,000 with all the horsemen, he came against the Judeans, the Israelites, the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah, the house of David. You know, I just refuse to say that J word, because remember, they use that J word to hijack the Israelites. So, you know, when you say the J word, people think of this guy. All right, they've attached themselves to that word, and that's clearly not what we're talking about. You just saw the statue of the Spartan. And the Spartans were Israelites according to the biblical history, when the Bible is the most accurate history book ever written. But anyway, it says, so he came against the house of Judah, thinking to make the city habitation of the Gentiles, and make a gain of the temple as the other chapels of the heathen, and to set the high priesthood to sale every year. So, you know, he wanted to, you know, make slaves of the high priest. You know, and this was the Maccabees, which was what was left of the house of David at the time. All right. And it says, not all considering the power of God, but puffed up with his tens thousands of footmen and his thousands of horsemen and his 80 elephants. So they had war elephants. There's even another scripture, Lord will, I'll come to it. Oh yeah, it's right here as I keep reading. His because when you jump down to verse 4, it talks about his war beast. All right, and you know, and you have to understand too that all images, all animals and all creatures were a lot larger. You know, going back 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. You know, everything was a lot larger in the ancient time than they are now. So them making those elephants appear that big, they were actually correct in doing so. All right. And it says, and now when Maccabeus heard that he besieged the holds, then all the people with lamentation and tears besought the Lord. They prayed to the Lord. He would send a good angel to deliver Israel. And Maccabeus himself first took the weapons, exhorting the other that they would jeopardize themselves together with help to him, their brethren, so that they went forth together with a willing mind. And as they were at Jerusalem, there appeared before them on horseback one in white clothing, shaking his armor of gold. And they praised the merciful power all together, and took heart, insomuch as they were ready not to fight with men, but with most cruel beasts. Let's look at some of these beasts. All right. You remember the movie The 300? The enormous war rhinos. All right. That they had it set to charge. Okay. Their beast. It says, and then they praised the merciful God together, and took heart as so much that they were ready not only to fight with men, but with the most cruel beasts, and pierced through the walls of iron. Thus they marched forward in their armor, having the helper from heaven, for Yahweh was merciful. All right. So that helper from heaven, well, that would be talking about an angel. So here's the image from the movie Legion, and these pale males, all right, with tattoos, which is against angels with tattoos, all right, which is completely against the law. No cuttings in thy flesh, all right. And this is supposed to be Michael, all right, the archangel. So let's read about Michael. Let's go to, because Michael only appears in one scripture to do the job, all right, in Jacob's trouble to save the Israelites. All right, so it wasn't Michael that came down. It was an angel that came, but it wasn't Michael. But here, let's oh yeah, Daniel. And it says, Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So what we're looking at is we're getting close to a scenario just like the house of David being led by the Maccabees. What was left of the house of David being led by the Maccabees at this time, okay, the southern kingdom, against insurmountable odds, and no way to win unless the help from heaven comes upon us. Now, when you read about these angels, well, let's go to Revelation. The angels and the Israelites, because the Bible describes the angels and the Israelites, as we just showed you the Spartan with the braids. All right. Matter of fact, because the Spartans indeed were Israelites, let's get that. Let's prove that before I go to the description of the Lord, the angels, the heavenly beings. That's in 1 Maccabees 12:21. I started verse 20. Actually, I started verse 19. And it says, and this is the copy of the letters which Oneris sent Arius, the king of the Lacedaemonians, to Onias, the high priest. So the high priest sent this letter to the Spartan Israelites, because that V, it looks like a V on the shield. Let's go back and see if they actually show the shield. Yeah, see this formation? That's the Lacedaemonian symbol that you're looking at. So we're talking about the Lacedaemonians, all right? And they weren't a bunch of pale men, all right? That is a complete fraud, all right? It says, and it is found in writings that the Lacedaemonians and the house of David are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham. So when the Bible speaks about brethren, and that may be another lesson that I do to prove kinship in the word brethren in the scriptures. When the Bible speaks about brethren, it's not talking about someone who believes what you believe, therefore they're your brother. It's literally talking about flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. So, Lord's will, that would definitely be among the lessons that I plan to do. All right, because like I said, Lord's will, I intend to do a lesson on each one of my channels, and I have quite a few channels. All right, but yeah, it says in verse 21, 1 Maccabees 12:21, it is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians, the Spartans, and the house of David are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham. Now, therefore, since this is come to our knowledge, ye should do well to write unto us of your prosperity. All right? So the Spartans were those Hellenized Greeks, those Greek-speaking Jews that made Greek their tongue. They were among those. All right? That would be in Acts 6:1 would be one of those scriptures. I think 9:29 is the other one. But Acts 6:1, yeah. It says, and in those days When the disciples were multiplied and there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews. All right, so we're talking about the Israelites, who sent the letter, and then the Lacedaemonians, the Grecians, who were Israelites following the Grecian ways. Okay, it says a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily administration. Why would the administration to the Hebrews be given to the Grecians? Because they too were brethren of the stock of Abraham. It's quite plain and simple. And when you look up that word Grecian, to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt, when you look that word up in the Greek, it clearly tells you that they were Greek-speaking Jews, the Hellenized or the Hellenista. So you have the Hellenist and the Hellenista, and I always get them mixed up because I think the Hellenista were the ones who, Israelites who made Greek their tongue, and the Hellenist were Israelite foreigners, or that didn't know that they were Israelites, because you remember, the Israelites were cut off from the heritage, so some of them didn't know. All right, not all of them. All right, many of the Israelites during the Grecian captivity still knew that they were Hebrews, but many got scattered and were separated from their heritage. Okay, so you can't discredit that fact either. Okay, so now let's go to the book of going back to these angels, back to this film Legion. All right, let's go to the book of Tobit, and then we're going to get some descriptions on what the angels look like, what the Israelites look like, what the Jews, right, the house of David. I hate that J word, because once again, why do I hate the J word? Because these people created it. All right, and when you say that J word is associated with Rabbi Shumi, all right, and they can be the Ish. All right, we're not Ish, we're the real thing. Ish means to be like. Okay, the suffix ish at the end of a word means to be like. You know how something is blue-ish or green-ish, but it's not really green or it's not really blue? Well, yeah, they can have that ish. They can be the J-ish all day long, because that's exactly what they are. Okay? No one should be saying, well, black people are the real, J. No, that's not who we are. We were the 12. We were of the 12 tribes. We were, so-called black people of the southern kingdom, of the house of Judah, either Benjamin, Levi, or Judah. They weren't Ish. Okay, the Ish were Edomites who were forcibly converted first by John Hyrcanus, and then later on another group of Ish converted during the 7th century, and around the Ukraine Donetsk area. Okay. And the ones today the Ish today are descendants of those people. Okay, that's why they support Ukraine and that whole region, Kiev, because that's their actual home. That's where they came from. All right, those were Edomites over there in the land of Japhet. Okay, but let's go to Tobit, the 12 and 15. And it reads, "And I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels, which present the prayers of the saints, and which go in and out before the glory of the Holy One." All right, so that is Raphael's job, okay, to bring the prayers. All right, Michael is the one who's going to come down and bring war upon the return of the Lord, okay? Michael's going to come down and stand up for the people, and the Yahushua comes right behind him. Okay, it's going to be, yeah, oh man, and that time is near. Okay, so let's go to the scriptures and talk about the host of heaven and what they look like, and the Israelites for that matter. So I'm right here, Jeremiah. Let's talk about the Lacedaemonians who were of the house of David. Jeremiah 14:2. Judah, the tribe of Judah, or the house of David, because Benjamin and Levi was a part of that, okay? Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. All right, so And that word there is kadar, which is also, connected to complexion, not just morning. All right. And you also have to understand too, within the English language, the word swarthy was replaced with black, because swarthy directly was a word that described complexion. All right. Swarthy and tawny. All right, which is what sardine and jasper stones. They're, swarthy and tawny, really dark, from a very dark chocolate brown to a very light brown, like almost yellow. All right, yellow is a derivative of brown. They call red bones. They call them red bones, light skinned. All right, the Israelites come like that because the Israelites are special. Okay, so let's go to these scriptures in the book of Revelation. And I'm going to start at chapter 4, at verse 1. The point is in verse 4, but I'm going to start at verse 1. And I looked, and behold, a door was open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show you the things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Now, it also tells you in Daniel, that the Most High had woolly hair, and he had the basically the skin like bronze. His that copper brown skin, kind of like those shields that you're looking at, the Lacedaemonian shields, or the poles that their spears, the staff part of their spears. All right, they're not silver; they're bronze colored almost. All right. It says, and he that sat was looked upon like a jasper and sardine stone. All right. Matter of fact, I could stop right there. Okay. So like a jasper and sardine stone. So let's look at a sardine stone. Yeah. That doesn't look like this guy. Don't look like Rabbi Shumi at all. All right. Matter of fact, that don't look like any of the J-ish and APAC and the AMJ, ADL. This isn't anti-anything, because we're actually talking about, Shemites, with an H, as it said properly. Okay? And this is how they're described. Jasper stone. These are the different types of jasper stones. So we know that all of them are canceled out except this one. And that's brown. As a matter of fact, when you look at my skin and you look at that jasper stone, and I'm fairly, and that my hand is a little, it's kind of dark from the sun. You can see the difference from where I wear my rings, how light complected I am versus the rest of the skin on my hand. And look at that stone. See, you can't get around this truth, man. So we know these are the different types of jasper stones. So we know that the Lord didn't look like any of these rainbows. Okay? Just like he had an appearance when he was here on earth. Okay? That jasper stone. So, just something real quick to prove that Esau Edom is a complete and total liar, with this, with this, they do lie. Right? Whitewashed history. So once again, for you so-called white people, you were not the original, the portion of Asia that you call Europe. Right? That they even gave it that name, and then they talk about European. Yeah, that was Western Europe. Just like Western Asia, same as the so-called Middle East is also Western Asia. The people that live in that region refer to it as that way. All right. So these people have whitewashed and lied about history. You are not the Israelites. You are not the Brits. You are not the Scots. You are not the Irish. You are not the Spartans. You are not the Greeks. You became those things. All right. After the conquering of Alexander. And then in the 14th century, you whitewashed and lied about history. And now you're butthurt that the truth is coming out. Okay? So with that, we're going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, Kwam Yasharallah, Abba Babal. And see you on the next lesson.